Good morning. It's 11 a.m. Saturday, April 20th, 2024. I think I have everything set up right. There we go. I got audio confirmation, turning on desktop audio so SpeakerBot can be heard. And I've got some topics. In the description of this video, there's nobody in Zoom yet. And I'll go look at the topics. Show the topics. Bett Moore, I haven't heard from her, so I don't know that she'll be here today, and I'm not sure that she's needing to continue more. I'll probably take that off for next week unless I hear back from her. And that was when we were working with her regarding connecting her computer to her handheld shortwave radios. Determine routine hardware disclosure for remote support sessions, explore optional features Windows Sandbox and how Windows Sandbox operates and how it's different from a virtual computer, the way that I've been doing it. Update Fallout 4 sound issue from Eric and discuss nuclear options for elusive issues. I sent an email to Eric and got a response from him. CPU power configuration of BBB build. Why is it running so cold? Kerry Holzman recently did some work with various motherboards in changing the amount of wattage that's being sent to the CPU and showing the effect it has. BBB build was kind of surprising in that regards. So if there's interest, we'll go down that road. I'm turning off the SpeakerBot repeats. I did do a confirmation of audio, right? Pretty sure. Do a confirmation. Yeah, I did. And then investigate the cause of BBB build lockup crash that occurred 45 minutes before showtime. I did a little checking on that. There's
Hello,
John.
Doug.
Oh, well, hello, John. Yeah, just in case you don't know, people cannot choose what voice they get. SpeakerBot is SpeakerBot is SpeakerBot. Hello, Ida. And who else do we have here? Brian was first with the chat comment, so I did a little exploration of that. Something gone wrong. It's 8 a.m. here. He's in California. The thumbnail picture for the show says 11 a.m. Pacific time, and YouTube has superimposed the countdown time as it normally does, but it says live in 2 hours. Brian, I doubt that it was exactly 8 a.m. Was it 8 a.m. and 10 seconds? Was it 7:59? I checked on it when the hour mark passed from 2 hours to 1 hour. No, that's not right. When it passed from over 2 hours to under 2 hours. Here he's talking about when it was the 3 hour mark. And what it did for me is 10 seconds after the hour, meaning at 9 o'clock and 10 seconds, it switched to the next countdown, which at that point was minutes. It started counting minutes, so it said 119 minutes. So that pattern makes me wonder if you had looked at it before 8 a.m., did it then say 3 hours, and as soon as it crosses, YouTube is rounding down? If anybody cares. Now, your mileage may vary based upon what browser you're using, configuration of your browser, whether you're logged into a Google account or not. I don't know. I suspect that it's just JavaScript. I expect that's just JavaScript code, and it's your computer that's actually doing the math and displaying the information. But I don't know. Well, curiosity topic. John Williams, happy Saturday to you as well. Hello, Carl J, Rick Lakes, Jonathan, Josh Kinder, Ghetto Fortnite, Jeff Ryman. People saying hellos to each other. This was me testing SpeakerBot. I started the show a little differently this morning. OBS has this place where you can select a broadcast and start streaming, or you can go into manage broadcast and select a broadcast without starting the stream. So I was wondering if SpeakerBot would wake up at that point in time, and it did not. So that did not produce a SpeakerBot message. However, at the end of the show, when I end the show, You know, you can do still some chat messages. If you do a SpeakerBot message after I've ended the live stream, I do hear that. As long as you see your chat message still come in, I still hear it. Jonathan, Rick Lakes, Jeff Raymond, whatever's appropriate. Got to be politically correct there with that. You know. Gonna get me a soda, I'll be right back. Rand Israel, hello. Selden Ball, hello. He's got 53 degrees. I had all the windows open this morning. Closed the window right here in front of me a few minutes before showtime. Let's see. Rand says topics 4578, please. Let's see. Let's go over here. 4578. 4578. So he skipped 6. 4578 and skipped 3. Hardware disclosure 45 optional feature sandbox. Got that. And the 2 big beast build issues. Got it. Thank you, Rand. CFWW, hello. John Williams, Ida Rivera, nice to see you as well. Steve Dodd's here, good to see you. Oh, I see somebody's coming into Zoom. Zvi Minor, not first, but almost always here. Thank you so much for that as well. Alex Cheek, Lawn Dogs checking on. Gonna come to Zoom in just a moment. Let's see, I'm gonna turn on my camera and my microphone for Zoom. So anybody who's in Zoom can go ahead and mute their YouTube audio. Rick Lates, the Brunk 9. All right, let's come in and see who is here in Zoom. I know who, you don't. Now you know. Hello, Alex. So wait a minute, I gotta change you. They can't hear you yet. There, try that. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Doug.
How are you doing today?
Hello, everybody on the YouTube. I'm doing all right. I have a very interesting topic to bring to the table today.
Go for it. Go ahead. What is it?
So I have this kid that we used to go to church with. His mom messaged me on Facebook and was like, he's having problems with his computer. Or it's his younger brother, but the older brother is the one that came to help me repair it. So it needed more memory, more RAM, and more bigger SSD. So I sent his mom the links, and she ordered the parts. Ordered two 8 gig sticks of RAM, DDR4, and a 500 gig NVMe SSD to put in the computer. So he comes over with the parts and the computer. I back up his SSD to my external hard drive. Use a macro flake to image backup. We take the computer apart, take the back off, undo all the screws, everything. Put the RAM in. Take both the old sticks out. Put both of the new sticks in. Take the old SSD out. Put the new SSD in, and flip the computer back over with the cover on before we put the screws back in to see if it works or not. The laptop, and I've never seen this before, but it just set at the Dell logo and flashed. Like every 3 or 4 seconds it would flash constantly, the Dell logo, and I let it sit like that for several minutes because I'm thinking it was just retraining the new parts, and so I let it sit there for 3 or 4 minutes. After that time had elapsed, I turned it off and said, "Well, this ain't working," and so we took one RAM stick out, turned it back on, didn't work, took it out, put the other one back in just by itself, didn't work. So I thought, well, I suppose we take out the SSD and see what happens. The brand new SSD blank with nothing on it. We take it out, the machine comes on with just the memory in, and it says RAM change. We put the new drive back in, same issue, flash the Dell logo over and over and over again. Didn't do anything else. Would not let me into BIOS or anything. Would not boot up my bootable flash drive or anything. So we take out the new SSD, put in the old SSD. Everything works. Fires right up. So I conclude, and I still don't know why this is like this. I conclude that the issue is that the computer, for whatever reason, does not like the new blank SSD with nothing on it. So what do we have to do? Me and the kid, the 17-year-old kid, have to come into my room, tear apart my computer completely down, because it's the only computer that has a free NVMe slot in it, a free NVMe slot. So me and him take apart my computer so we can put his new blank NVMe drive inside of my computer, so that I can verify that his new drive works, and I can copy his image using my computer to his new NVMe. So the restore completes. We take his drive out of my computer, put it all back together, take the NVMe in there to the other computer, stick it in, and it all boots up. Perfectly fine. Can you explain that?
Well, as you were talking, I was thinking that BIOS update might help the laptop to recognize that computer. But let me repeat this back.
It would have, but I already did the BIOS update prior to changing out the RAM and the SSD. I already did the update prior. That's the first thing I did before I even touched any of the hardware.
Okay. So let me repeat back to you to be sure I understand this right. With the blank NVMe it's a laptop, right? The customer's computer's laptop. Okay. With the blank NVMe, new NVMe in the laptop, and new memory in the laptop, you couldn't get the computer to post. I didn't hear you use the word post, but is that fair to say you couldn't get it to post or even get into BIOS? The screen was just flashing.
I couldn't get into the BIOS, but the Dell logo was flashing every 3 or 4 seconds.
Dell logo flashing.
What was happening.
Yeah, the Dell logo
over and over and over.
The Dell logo flashing makes me think that it was in a loop. It was in a boot loop of some sort. Did you actually try to get into? Did you press a BIOS access key for that computer?
I tried. I tried pressing F2 and F12, which is the BIOS keys for the Dells, and I couldn't get in.
Now, did you try with the blank NVMe and the old memory to start the computer? I'm not sure if I caught that.
The blank NVMe and the old memory. No, I don't think I did.
Yeah. So you were changing two things at once, and when the computer's going through the training process, it was having to do two things at once with the memory and the NVMe. Now, I don't know if that's normally a problem, but that occurred to me as you were describing what you did. I had the thought, put the old memory back in, see if the computer would boot with that.
Well, see, after we was having the issue, we did put the old memory back in.
Yeah, you did, but not with the blank. Not when the NVMe was blank, did you?
See, I don't think so. Okay. But what we did do is we put the old SSD in with the new memory,
right?
To see if the new memory was functioning, and it booted right up to Windows.
Okay.
It just would not boot at all with the blank NVMe in there.
Now, once you got to the point where the new memory and the old NVMe drive booted up, did you then shut down and go back and put in the blank NVMe? Because at that point in time, the computer had the memory recognized and trained.
Yeah. Then we turned it off, and we stuck the new NVMe back in. Same Because I thought the same thing. The memory would be trained after
Yeah.
it booted up, and so it was like, no, it did it same symptom, same Flash and Dell logo.
Okay. So after the memory was recognized and functional with the computer, the blank NVMe drive still, the computer wouldn't boot. But then when you restored the image to the new NVMe drive using your computer, then put that new NVMe drive back into the laptop, it worked.
With the new memory. So
With the new memory, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it worked. Everything booted up just like fine. The computer didn't complain or anything.
All right.
Immediately got the little spinning circle going around in Windows. All I had to do was change the pin, change his pin code or reset his pin code because I had attempted to boot up after the restore finished. I attempted just to see what would happen, see if it would boot up or not. I attempted to boot up his install with my computer, and that worked. It just I had to reset his pin number after getting everything back on his computer because it's complaining because Windows was complaining because of it being a difference between because his computer is an AMD and my computer is an Intel.
All right. Interesting. Let's get the chat room involved here because they've got a lot of comments they're making on the issue. So let's get them involved in the conversation. First, I'll say hello to Chris Garrett. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Doug.
Oh, he is there. Did you have any topics to bring to the table, or are you just going to hang and Zoom for a bit?
Just gonna hang in Zoom. I'm gonna be muted though.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So let's go look at chat. Some more names coming in here, I think. Darren Gilholm, Greg M. Greg M asking, were you booting off the USB flash drive with Macrium? Now, there was a couple occasions. So first with the laptop, I'm assuming you did not have a USB drive connected while you were trying to get the laptop to boot on the new drive, right?
At one point, I did plug in at one point during this whole boot loop situation, I did turn off the computer, plug in the USB drive with the Macrium on it, see what would happen, and nothing changed.
Okay, because it still wouldn't get past its problem with that blank NVMe drive. All right. Now then, when you put the new NVMe drive in your computer, was that as a second NVMe drive and your computer was actually booted on your drive, or were you actually putting that as primary?
I had my drive remained connected the whole time.
Okay.
But I had the computer booted up off the flash drive. My computer was booted up off of the Macrium USB recovery media USB.
Okay.
So that the only thing the computer was running at the time was the Macrium restore. But my computer,
if I had to rely on my
once I got into the Macrium, my computer right away saw NVMe. So I know the NVMe. At that point, I knew his new NVMe drive and his new memory were not bad.
All right. Okay, Jim doesn't even know where we were at when he put in that speaker bot message. And Alex, what you were saying there was stepped on a little bit with Jim's comment. But the message that I understood there is that you had both your NVMe in place and his in place when you booted your computer off of the Macrium Reflect USB drive.
Yes.
And that's the state you were at when you did the restore operation to his drive. Okay. Lawn Dog saying, possibly Alex, when sometimes you get a brand new drive, they're literally blank and is a process you have to go to initialize them. You might even have to do a clean process. I picked up also that you're changing two components at one time. You should do one at a time. Doug will explain. I would typically prefer to do one at a time. I don't really know that that's an issue. Greg M could have pulled the BIOS battery to reset BIOS. You did that.
I did that too, and that didn't do anything.
All right. And you had a fresh update for BIOS. Martin Hogg, hello. John Williams, I had that problem with the Dell desktop. It had an SSD, but had a slot for NVMe. It was stuck in a loop.
Now, that BIOS is only as fresh as November 2023.
Well, that should be fresh enough.
That's the latest.
The main thing that I'd be concerned about is if there's a BIOS update from the manufacturer so that computer could recognize the newer NVMe drive that wasn't available at the time that the old BIOS was created. I've had that happen where I put in a new drive and the computer would not recognize it until I did a BIOS update. Let me understand John's comment more. I had that problem with the Dell desktop. It had an SSD, but had a slot for NVMe. You haven't actually explained there whether you had added the NVMe drive while the SSD was still in place, took that out, and then tried to switch straight to the NVMe, but it was getting a boot loop. And what happened with that? How did you resolve the issue? Were you trying to change two things at the same time, or was that a single change? One dog continuing, it's still kind of weird that NVMe drive when inserted would cause what sounds like some kind of problem with BIOS went into a loop. Just odd. Sometimes I'd suspect the installation wasn't making good contact or something like that. Yeah, contact is, I've seen that be an issue, or just disconnecting and reconnecting components get something working. Ran Israel, is the new NVMe really new or refurbished? Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Could there actually have been, could that NVMe possibly have been returned product that was then shipped out to you?
I bought it brand new, the brand new Crucial P3 whatever 500 gig.
Yeah, so when you say brand new,
Got it brand new.
When you say brand new, you're saying it's brand new because you ordered it from Amazon and it didn't claim to be refurbished.
That is correct.
Yeah. Was it in some kind of a sealed container?
Yes.
All right. I'd be fairly comfortable as long as it's in a sealed container. I think if you're buying like from a third-party seller and they're selling it as new and it comes in a package that's not sealed, I then would get suspicious that it might have been returned from somebody else. But yeah, if you got a sealed product, I think you're probably okay with that. So you already saw that. Jim's comment about his wife. Late to his own funeral, he'd be late. When I had a similar situation where the drive was in some state of being truly empty, no formatting whatsoever, I had to do the process of clean drive and do it externally in order to get things to work. The terminology of being blank is the only word I can use right now. What probably was happening during the boot was the BIOS was checking everything like RAM and other things. When it got to testing the drive, it choked. Martin, don't trust ladders. They're always up to something. John Williams.
You know the biggest thing I learned during all this process?
Yeah.
Get one of those external NVMe USB drive enclosures.
Yeah.
That could have avoided most of the hassles we had with this process of taking my whole computer apart.
You were limited on what choices you had for troubleshooting. Since you didn't do that, you had to use your computer. So yeah.
But that was the last thing I was expecting. I was not expecting to need that, because I thought it was just most computers would just boot up and say no bootable device. But this particular Dell was like, nope. And then to add insult to injury, after he left and we got his computer working, the next day before he left, after we got it working, he said he was going to go home and try to install Fortnite, because he wasn't able to install Fortnite before because his original drive was completely filled. So yesterday he called me and said, well, I installed Fortnite, but then it didn't. Fortnite, of course, didn't complain that the hard drive was full, but it complained that the graphics were too bad to be able to run Fortnite, or something about the CPU and all this other stuff. So even after doing all the upgrades on this laptop that's possible to be done on this particular laptop, he still can't use the computer for what he was wanting to use it for in the first place, which was play Fortnite.
Yeah. So two things there that strike me. First, we can take the Boy Scout motto about always being prepared. I think it's the Boy Scout to have the resources on hand because you don't know what's going to happen. And then the next thing, and I've heard Kerry Holzman say this a number of times, and I've said it for a long time, is when somebody comes to you with something they want, in this case, a larger drive, ask, why do you want this? Now, in this case, it was pretty obvious to you because he said the old one's full. Why would you ever ask any further? But if you had the presence of mind to ask, what are you planning to do? Why do you need the more space? If he would have told you that he was wanting to install Fortnite on it, would you have had other conversation with him? Said, "Well, hey, wait a minute."
Not really. I mean, not really, simply because of the fact that my computer can play Fortnite on integrated graphics just fine, but it's way more powerful than that one. But I wouldn't have thought, that it wouldn't have been able to play the laptop wouldn't have been able to play Fortnite with the integrated graphics because I'm not a big gamer. I mean, yeah. I just bought the PC, that PC simulator game, PC building simulator game.
Yeah.
Off of Epic last night because it was on sale for like $5, and I thought it'd be something cool to try out. But as far as like any other like really intensive like Fortnite, Call of Duty, that kind of stuff, I'm not really interested. That. So no.
Yeah. I asked myself, would I have had the foresight to ask about that? And I'm not totally certain. But yeah, when people make their own decisions about what's going to solve their problem, they're not telling us the problem. Sometimes we can help them more. Now let's see what his response to me. He says he did a fresh install of Windows 11 after installing the NVMe. I tried to install the NVMe with the old SSD clone to it, but it was easier to just do a fresh install. Well, that wouldn't have worked for you, Alex, because you couldn't even boot to a USB drive when that drive was in place.
If I wanted to do a fresh install to his drive, I would have had to do a fresh install on his drive using my computer, and then clone the fresh install from,
yeah,
have the fresh install already fresh installed on his drive using my computer.
Okay, so I'm thinking, John, you didn't actually have quite the same symptom because it wasn't boot loop that was failing to boot to anything while that device was installed. Have I read this right? Did a fresh install Windows 11 after physically installing the NVMe. I tried to install the NVMe with the old SSD to clone it, but it was easier to just do a fresh install. Now, after doing the fresh install, perhaps that's enough to get the computer to cooperate or recognize the NVMe. Then perhaps you could do the clone operation after that. Londog, I've read your messages here. I'm not going to read them out loud because basically you're just saying the same things we've already said. Arnold Albert.
There's one piece of this puzzle I haven't said yet that may change the topic altogether, and that's that this NVMe drive, this original NVMe drive that was put in there by Dell, was not a full-size 2280 NVMe drive. It was a small, like a 2242.
Okay.
It was like the size of a Wi-Fi chip. But
All
you
right.
see, when we took the back off, they have this metal plate that makes it look like it's a heat sink for a full-size 2280. But then we took out the metal plate off. We discovered, there's no NVMe underneath this plate. Where is it? It just so happened to be attached to that plate, and it was one of those smaller Wi-Fi chip size NVMe
Okay.
drives.
All right.
So I don't know if that would have any effect on changing from a smaller size to a bigger size physical NVMe drive. I don't know if that would have any effect on anything or not.
All right. Lawn Dog, I'm going to skip over those and move on to the topics that have been requested. And John gives me more. I could not get it to boot with both storage devices installed on the same computer. It works great now. I could not get it to boot. Well, that sounds like that was before you resolved the problem. After you got the fresh install, was the computer still unable to operate when both devices were in the computer? That doesn't seem like it would matter. And Ran Israel saying, I don't think that should matter. I'm not sure what you are referring to there, Ran. It works great now. I could not get it to boot with both storage devices installed. Okay, let's move on past that. You don't need to clarify that further. Let's move on to some topics. Arnold Albert asking for 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so 6 at this point is going to be a conversation. A couple days ago, I think it was, on a Windows Daily, I showed comments that came in from somebody about the Fallout 4 video, and went and did a Google search and found that my video is coming up, and that's why it has had a lot of attention recently. And that got me thinking more along the lines of that subject, and I partially went through those videos. There's quite a bit of videos there. Here's what we have is there's a 29-minute video that was during a Windows Daily show where I connected remotely to Eric's computer, and we just really got through the basics of what the situation was. And then after the show was over, I continued working with him for almost 2.5 hours and then published this video. We did not wind up solving the problem. This was back December 2022. So I sent him an email asking if he ever got a solution for that. He responded saying, no, I didn't. That's all it says, is no, I didn't. So let's go. I want to show the analytics of this video, which I showed the other day. It's gotten a very big bump in recent days, which implies to me a lot of people are having this problem. Now, Eric, before he came to me, before he came to us, had already tried communications with on various forums, with whatever tech support was available through the company. He said he was frustrated that he just wasn't getting much of any help from them. I don't know if there was if he had any official support, like whether it was a paid game or not. But a lot of people appear to be having this problem. So all of the sensible things did not solve the problem. And during that half-hour show, many people in the chat room were suggesting things that I did not get around to during that show, but I did do during that 2.5-hour follow-up video. As far as I know, I haven't recently gone back and watched through the whole video, but as far as I know, I did cover all the things that were suggested in the chat room. And we did other things as well, did not find a solution. So this is an issue that's causing a lot of people trouble. Now, one of the topics that did come up was doing a full install. Is there any uninstall utility to do a full install that cleans out all traces? Because when you just uninstall a program, commonly there'll still be information in the app data folder and in the user's app data folder specific to that program that might still be present, so that if you reinstall the program, they're hoping you will, your configuration information would still be there. So as far as nuclear options is what I was suggesting to talk about here. I have done this on some occasions where I put in another drive, do a fresh install of Windows and see if the problem exists there. That means we have all the same equipment. There could be issues with a Windows update somewhere along the line that broke the program, and apparently it wasn't affecting his Fallout 3. It was only affecting his Fallout 4. creating a new user account. So that means the user settings for that program are all going to be refreshed. That's not I wouldn't call that a nuclear option, but it's a big change. What I look for when there's an elusive problem is ways to make a big change and see if that makes a difference. I mean, it could be even to the point of installing a program on another computer, bringing out everything up to date, but that's not as good as putting in a different drive in the subject computer, because then you're dealing with all the same hardware. You may have differences as far as what the computer is experiencing in the back in its history. Like if you do a fresh install of Windows and you don't have all the other software that he has installed, whatever's running in the background, whatever other software, even antivirus products, ad blockers, things that would be totally unrelated. I have come across documented situations where a particular problem with a particular program says, well, if you have such and such on your computer, that will cause a problem with this program, and it seems totally unrelated. So when there's an elusive issue, looking for a nuclear solution. Now, in Alex's case, what he just came up with, his nuclear solution was to put that drive in his computer to see if he could get it working there. And that was because he had a lack of resources to deal with this. If he had the USB adapter for an NVMe drive, he could have done an easier troubleshooting step there. With Bett Moore and her radio issue, if she had available another radio of that same model or another USB cable that works with that radio, because they were proprietary USB cables. She couldn't use the USB cable for other radio. They're different connectors. But if you have limited resources for troubleshooting, which Bett Moore had, Alex had in the issue he was working with, and with Eric on Fallout 4, we had some limited troubleshooting resources. And that's something that we're going to come into on various occasions in the work that I'm trying to get this channel to be doing more of, which means providing live problem solving help to people. Yeah, Rand Israel saying the 2280 versus 2242. The 22 was the width in millimeters, I believe it is, and 80 was the length in millimeters of those NVMe drives. That Dell did not have an mSATA drive, did it? Because those are old SSDs. And he's talking about Dell, so that would have been John Williams, I think, was the Dell, right? Yeah, Dell desktop. And John was saying, I had to remove the SSD, otherwise it would try to boot in RAID. Then you'd have to go into BIOS and change from RAID mode to, come on, it's 4 letters. What is the other mode? I'm thinking that's what. Booting to RAID, though. RAID would just be available. AHCI, thank you, Wintermute, would be the alternative to RAID. Depending upon the BIOS that you have, you might have an alternative also for IDE. And Rand Israel came up with that as well. Grey Wolf was asking the physical size of the drive. Oh yeah, those are referring to the physical size of the drives, not the storage capacity. Had to remove the SSD. Now, wait, no, that doesn't make sense to me, because wasn't it an SSD and an NVMe? Those are never going to be able to cooperate with each other for RAID, are they? Yeah, there's an NVMe and I'm deducing this SSD you're referring to 2.5-inch SSD, right? Those would never work in RAID. Now, if you have the, oh, come on, Winter Mutant Rand, help me. The memory, when you have the memory that, I always think of it as like a metal that provides extra caching capability for drives in Dell computers. I think maybe some other brands as well. What is it?
Read
Optane.
chat, please.
Thank you. Optane. Jim and came up with that.
Optane.
There's a few
Read chat, please.
Boy, there's a bunch of read chats. Is it just, if you're unlikely, you could be looking at Optane. Yeah. Oh, Jim came up with that before I started suggesting it. Yeah. That, yeah, if you turn off the RAID and you have Optane, you're not going to be able to access what's on that SSD. But he's saying he had to remove the SSD, otherwise it would try to boot in RAID. Something about that not making sense to me. Schema, I guess that's, is that just Schema's name, 21632?
A pox on Optane.
Pox on Optane. Grey Wolf, yes, about the size. 80 millimeter, 22 millimeters wide, 80 or 42 millimeters long. Isn't there also a shorter one, shorter than 42? Seldom Ball, goodbye. It's a 2.5 SSD. Might have tried to boot in RAID even though it wasn't going to work. 2230 and 22110. That's a long one. And hello to Jim.
As you can tell, I'm all caught up now.
Caught up. Yeah. Was it worth it? I don't know. Don't answer.
Well, I got to get through the Alex story that much quicker.
All right. Sure. Got to do it on high speed. All right. Did you have any topics to bring?
Oh, no, not me.
All right.
I'm kind of between things.
All right. I'll move on to the next topic in my list. I think I finished with Fallout 4. CPU power configuration of Big Beast build. Why is it running so cold? Hardware info. I'll pull up. Let's see. Do I have it? Looks like temperature bars. I don't see it there. Okay, let's go bring it up. Windows key, hardware info. Start typing it. Where is it going to come up? Should come up with
where you want it, you know that.
Yeah, should come up with the prompt for oh, here it is. The prompt for sensors only.
Read chat, please.
Coming back to chat. Ran Israel, before I forget, don't upgrade to the latest version of VirtualBox. Really? All right. Get an idea why that is. Please refrain from upgrading to 7.0.16. This release has an issue which might cause host operating system crash when virtual machine is configured to use bridged or host-only networking. We will send an announcement to mailing list when the fix will be available for download. For those who aren't aware, I kind of don't update and upgrade until I'm forced to for some reason. If it ain't broke, I don't fix it. Oh, and speak of updates, new version of HW Info. I'll let it continue. Let's see, new version is 8.0. I'm on 7.46, so that is pretty obsolete, but it's going to show the correct information for what I'm looking for now, for this purpose. All right, so let's scroll down to where it's showing temperatures. Let's see, no, oh, the power, not temperatures, wattage. That's what I want to scroll to.
Read chat, please.
Definitely don't upgrade during a live stream. For hardware info? Really? I've done upgrades of utility programs during the shows before. Yeah, so here Carrie was showing how that when the power limit is essentially unlimited in BIOS, and he runs a
For VirtualBox.
trying to think of the name. Oh, for VirtualBox. Yeah, I won't do that upgrade during the show. That testing program that he was using, so we would expect it to run the temperatures up on Big Beast build to what, 70, 80, maybe 90, and we wouldn't want it to go higher than that. I have tested this, and that's why I have this subject in chat, because I was surprised with what I got. So you can start speculating in chat what you think we're going to see. Now, I didn't test it during a live stream, so I'm about to try this, pushing the machine during the live stream. What's the name of that? Program. I thought I have it actually installed
You
here.
have a couple of them. You've either got Prime 95, which is you can do the portable version, or you've got Cinebench.
Cinebench. That's the name I was think of. Because yeah, it's here. It's actually installed. So hold on to your seats. We're going to do a Cinebench on Big Beast build while live streaming, which the piece of doing it during live streaming is not tested. And we're interested to see, one, does it crash the stream? In which case I will start another stream. Should I go ahead and pre-prep that? Yeah, well, I'll pre-prep that. It's not hard to do. Come over here and schedule another stream, reuse the settings, and I'll give it a part B, -B. Go next, next, next. The 20th, 11:50. That's good enough. Even if we go, if I start after that, it's okay. It's still available. I don't have to start it at the time that it's scheduled for. Okay, so there's the next show is scheduled. So once I end this stream, you should be able to just refresh. If your URL at the top of the stream you're watching right now, if it says youtube.com/lwtdb/live, you can just refresh that screen and you'll get the new show. Let's see, what's this message? YouTube. Oh, I've got that that captioning enabled still. Here's Cinebench. CPU multi-core, there's a start button. Let's bring this down so that I can get hardware info positioned at the same time. There's the wattage. Have people said things and predicted what's going to happen? No actual temperatures. Ran Israel asking what happened on Friday. Let's go to that after we pursue this. He's asking why I canceled the show on Friday, because I did put a message. Ask me about it on Saturday if you want to know. I said something about self-employment BS. Okay, here we go. Start. This is the one I think has a dining room table setting. core temperatures. And this top line will show us the maximum. This is with unlimited P1 and P2 power setting. On the
And
system.
you're going to have to take your little picture-in-picture out.
Oh,
It's
thank
being
you.
blocked on YouTube.
All right, thank you.
There we go. I don't see anything really objectionable just yet. 206, yeah, it's a little high, but which processor is in this thing again?
It's an i9. I can't tell you the specific number beyond that.
I'm trying to look at it on the screen here. So i9 99 something. Is it a
Oh,
99?
9980XE.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's 9th gen. Then you're probably not going to see the problem.
Well, I know I'm not going to see the problem that Carrie was working with. But with unlimited P1 and P2 power, the thing that I'm describing as surprising is this really isn't going up very high at all.
No.
That's what was surprising to me. And my question, my wondering is, do I have some other kind of limitation set in BIOS that's preventing the CPU from really working much? Or is there something I'm not understanding about how this works? Again, I'm not a hardware guy. You all know that. So anyway, this will just run on and on. It's not going to get any higher. So that's the thing that was just surprising to me.
And 207 watts roughly is not that outrageous.
Right. So is there something else that's keeping it down to that
No,
level?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think
All
so.
right.
No. It's a 9th gen. It's you're not going to, I don't think you're going to ever see the same issue he's dealing with.
Well, I wasn't expecting the same issue. I'm just questioning, am I leaving performance on the table because something's not set right? You don't think so? All right.
No.
All right. Good. Then I won't pursue that any further. But that's why I put that subject on today's list and asked and answered then. Unless there's other comments in chat along those lines. Let's go look at chat.
I'm sure there will be.
Where do I have popped out chat? Do I? I don't see it anywhere. It's out there somewhere. There it is. Okay, we'll come back to the Friday topic in a little bit. I predict the show will continue without crashing, maybe a little bit of hesitation. It's one of the subjects he's interested in. Performing quite well. I don't have anything that will run Cinebench. If it does, it will do nothing but stutter. Falls on its face from Rick. 9th gen is fine.
Yeah, the quick Google search says the 9980XE TDP is supposed to be 165 watts. So you're a bit above that, but not ridiculously so.
All right. Lawn Dog asked if I'm running any type of ASUS overclocking software. I have experimented with the overclocking options in BIOS, but I think back when I was having crashing troubles due to memory many months back, I believe I turned all that off. Couldn't swear to it though. Only 13th gen onwards. I think, wasn't Carrie showing that on 12th gen as well? But that's a different issue. That's not what I was bringing up about Big Beast build. I was not proposing at all that I was having a similar issue. Okay. Then move on to, Friday. So, hey, Doug, what happened Friday? What is this self-employment BS? I discovered on, I think, Thursday night that in a stack of neglected, overlooked U.S. mail, I had a notice from IRS that said that I was delinquent on some taxes. And they, it was the Form 940, which is the annual federal employment taxes or unemployment taxes. It's the taxes that I pay for my employees. Wait a minute, Doug, I thought you were self-employed, a single person operation. Yes, but I employ myself. I have, my business is operated as a C Corp, S Corp, not C Corp, S Corp. That's where the profits from the business pass on through to the individual's personal income tax. But as such, I actually pay myself a salary, an annual salary of, I think it's $8,000 a year, $10,000 a year, something like that. Now that's not all I make more than that, but that's the amount that I pay for salary, and that's what my Social Security deposits were calculated from. Now that I'm 66 years old, that's changed somehow. I don't quite know how. But anyway, I was delinquent on paying that, so I'd started investigating why, and I did not have the U.S. mail forms that I rely on for my CPA to trigger me to pay that. So out of sight, out of mind. And the deadline for me to pay that is Monday. Is the last day that I could pay it. I discovered it Thursday night. I sent an email to my CPA asking, what is this money for? Because I didn't even recognize what it was for. And when he explained what that was about and says, didn't you get your such and such package? Well, some of you know that we've had the community mailboxes here broken into from time to time. So I'm suspecting that might have got lost from then. Well, I have paid a lot of my taxes online. So I went online to pay those taxes. And IRS changed their site again. The address that's on the form. Do I still have that form here? No. The website address that's on the delinquency notice they sent me comes up with a 404 error. The website isn't there. So I do a Google search where to find this, and I find the site has a similar name, but it's a different URL. And I go to sign into my account there, and RoboForm recognizes it well enough to put in my credentials. So I do that, and then it forces me to change my password. And I start going through that, and it sends me a 6-digit code in my email. Fine, I put that in, and then it says, I put in the code, and it gave me a successful message, and then it forced me to re-sign in to the site. So I go to re-sign in, and it fails. And I try going through the lost password procedure, and it fails. And I worked on it for maybe an hour trying to get it to go through, and then I wound up using some choice words that I don't include out loud on a family-friendly show, and said, I'm just going to write the checks. So I wrote the checks, and then that means I have to find, where are my stamps? When I used to do U.S. mail, I have a roll of stamps somewhere, so I eventually find that. And then I got to go drive to the post office to mail them because I don't trust our mailboxes here. My post office, I have to drive past 2 other post offices to get to my post office. I could have gone to any post office, but they are holding mail for me because the mailboxes are broken here. So I figured if I'm going to go to the post office, I might as well go pick up the mail that they have on hold for me anyway. And at this was all happening prior to showtime. And I was just getting tense and stressed. And I said, I need to lighten the load. And so that's when I canceled the show. I could have pushed through, but
I have a question.
at my age, no. I'm gonna press the easy button. I'm gonna press the
I
easy
started
button.
celebrating 420 a day early is what I would have done, but whatever.
I have a question, Doug.
Go ahead, Alex.
Why exactly, since you're having all these mailbox issues, and I assume you've had other issues in the past, why exactly do you live why exactly do you live where you have to have problems? Why don't you just move into the actual city instead of living on an island, essentially, like you've said before?
This problem that we're having here with the mailboxes being broken into, that's happening all over Fresno, including in the high dollar communities. So the only place that I would be able to escape from this mailbox issue is to move into a house that has the old style mail slot in the wall of the house, like I had when I was growing up as a kid. The postman would walk up to our porch and put the mail through this slot. I don't consider this to be a severe enough problem to justify all the trouble of moving. I have moved far too many times in my life. In the first 11 years of married life, we moved 13 times. And I was not in the military. It was not due to jobs. Enough said about the reason for the moves.
I've moved twice in my whole life.
Now, further, count your blessings. That moving is not fun. But actually, I have a private mail service on the north part of town that I used to get all my shipments to before COVID. After COVID hit and my business has shifted to where I'm here so much more, I have deliveries come here, and I currently have my U.S. mail forwarded to that private mail service for my business and for my personal. However, it's only working for the business. It's not working for the personal. And I've talked to the people at my post office, and last time I was there, prior Friday, not yesterday, but the week before, the guy went in the back and said, "Let me figure out why this is happening." He was back there for what felt like a really long time, probably just 5 minutes, but he came back and said, "I don't understand it. Our system here is so complicated and messed up and broken. I just can't figure it out. Why some of your stuff is getting forwarded and some of it isn't." So now my next consideration is changing my invoices and training all of my clients to mail my checks to the private mail service. But when my mailbox are working, it's so much more convenient to pick them up from here. All right, that's more than you needed to know. Chat room. So what's that new standard operating procedure? Not sure what that is in reference to. Maybe the mailboxes. Nice to see the community mailbox are like here. Oh, all right. As long as we've gone that far on mailboxes. When that started happening, there's two community mailboxes. One of them is straight across the street from me. I bought extra security cameras. I bought a video recording system and had it out in the garage. I used a trail camera, put it out in the gutter. I got the thief's license plate. I got close-up video of him about 8 foot away. I put a camera up on top of the mailboxes. I got video showing the faces, his face and his girlfriend's face. I showed 3 different cars that had been used. I worked with a postal investigator, and the investigator got the person's home address, found a place that they frequent, and some other possible associates, called me one day asking permission for her and her supervisor to park in my driveway to stake out the location to try to catch them red-handed. They didn't show up. A few days later, I called trying to get an update for this investigator. I found that she's been transferred. They would not give me any explanation about what's going on with the case, except that they hinted that she wasn't authorized to be pursuing that issue. Identified them. Video of them taking the mail out of the boxes. They did nothing. They dropped it. Now, I'm deducing they dropped it because they know the prosecutors won't spend the money and the time to actually prosecute that. A lot of people around here are very, very upset. All right.
Another question for you, Doug, just out of my pure curiosity, and I may have asked you this before, but I can't remember, but I don't think so. Have you ever been to any of your high school class reunions?
Yes. Oh, wow. Stories I could tell. Yeah, I think it was, must have been 15th reunion. And I say that because remember I said that I was married for, I think I said I was married 18 and a half years. Yeah, I did. And I enjoyed conversations with many people there. I had one really embarrassing thing happen. Towards the end of my time there, I was walking through the crowd, and this woman approached me and said hi, and I had this blank look on my face because I did not recognize her at all. And I finally had to ask, "What's your name?" She gave me her name. She was the longest-term girlfriend that I had in high school, and I did not recognize her as a
I never had
adult
any,
woman.
so congratulations. But I never had any.
Right.
So I'm getting ready. I asked because I'm getting ready to have my. We're getting ready to have our first class reunion this coming Saturday.
Well, good. I'm hopeful that you really enjoy it. The thing I was really surprised about is a lot of people that I did not consider close friends were just very, very welcoming and friendly and like, let's sit down and catch up. And I just felt far more welcomed at the reunion than I felt comfortable on campus. Let's see what's going on over here in chat. I got another topic to move on to. A lot of my business clients have switched over to electronic deposits rather than checks from their clients. Yeah, I haven't. I'm still taking checks. There isn't a way for them to electronically. They can do a pay by mail type thing, like their bank sends the check. That works. Jeff Ryman, when I whoops, what happened? Oh, retracted. He doesn't want me to read that, I guess. I'm going to assume you actually did get a chance to read it, Jim. I didn't.
I started reading it and then it went away. So my guess is there's something he just like thought, but nah, better not.
No, he said he's explaining. He just misspelled something.
Oh, okay.
So maybe it'll come back. Investigate cause of Big Beast build crash 45 minutes before showtime. Yeah, and I've got cell phone video of it, but I don't think that's significant to show. I can explain it. I was actually moving my mouse around, going from one tab to another, and the mouse was up on one of these tabs, and then I tried to move the mouse away and it wouldn't move. My first response was to connect the mouse to the USB cable, thinking the battery had gone down, and that didn't work. And I tried the keyboard, it didn't respond. Windows key didn't respond, but all the images were still there. There's no error message. I went to Baby Beast and tried my Log Me and Rescue to see if I could connect remotely to Big Beast, and it said that Big Beast was offline. So that supports that Big Beast was crashed, even though the images on the screen were fine. I have Event Viewer open. What I wound up doing is, I took video of it too. What I wound up doing was holding the power button down for 10 seconds because a press and release would not shut it down. I also took video of the CPU report screen because it has a status message on it. The RAM memory that you see there changing colors was no longer changing colors. It was static. The fans on the front of the computer, which are all dark right now, that's weird, they were changing colors. They should be rotating through colors right now. So I'll hold the power button down and then start it back up. The startup was normal. So let's go look at Event Viewer. Event Viewer will lead you to information, although it doesn't really tell me why it happened, but it did cause me to remember something or realize something that was involved. So here's at 10:15 when I restarted the computer. You see some exclamation marks in there, and we'll get to those in a little bit, but let's go down and scroll down to where the crash actually happened. I'm looking at the times here. So here's where it jumps from 10:05 to 10:14. No messages between there. This event 12 is one that I commonly look for. Gives us the start time. And then what's some of the others? 20, I think. The leave, no. Let's look at this one. 6008, the previous shutdown. So this will tell us when the shutdown actually happened at 10:07. So there was 10:05, 10:07 is when the shutdown happened. The elapsed time between those two was me making cell phone video and getting it restarted. And this warning, hypervisor did not enable mitigations for side channel vulnerabilities for virtual machines, yada, yada, yada. If anyone wants to read through more of that, you can pause the video and see that. Don't need anything else prior. So let's go up and look at other error messages. Here's a event ID 41. System is rebooted without cleanly shutting down first. Duh. This error could be caused if the system stopped responding. That doesn't really give us useful information. The driver detected internal driver error on VBox. I'm suspecting that comes up every time I restart the computer. We could go search event ID 12 and see how often that occurs, but I don't think that is associated. A warning message. Ethernet connection network link is lost. A lot of messages that like exclamation marks tend to happen and that when the computer is completely functioning fine and I don't worry about them. Here's a driver failed to load for a device. And then these LSA messages, I won't spend much time on each of these. I'll just click through them. If you care to read them in more detail, you can. As you see this shaded bar in the background, it's going up to the next message with each click. Let's see how far along I am. Filter manage attached to a volume hard disk DR2. This is the one that caught my interest. What's up with this? This volume will be unavailable for filtering until the reboot. Final status was such and such. I don't recall coming across those messages before, but this got me thinking, okay, what's going on with hard drives? And just by seeing hard drive here, that's what made me realize, oh, the Big Beast build started a backup. When I woke it up from hibernation this morning, it started a backup. And I was wondering if something was going on regarding that. Couple distributed COM messages, but those seem very common. I don't think that's of any significance. So the only thing that this got me to realize as far as what Big Beast build was doing at the time when it crashed, I thought was a backup. So I also have Macrim Reflect open here somewhere. I thought I did. All right, maybe I lied about that. Or maybe I just didn't see it. Nope, I guess I did close it. And Wintermute's asking about a dump file. I have not looked for that yet. We'll go look for that.
Oh, there was 2 computers for this kid. The older kid had a computer, and the younger kid had a computer that I just recently repaired. I had the scenario I explained earlier. Well, I wanted, since you mentioned Make and Reflect, I wanted to put it out there that when the older kid got a new computer, that computer came with Windows 11, and I wanted to point out that the free version of Make and Reflect will still back up and restore Windows 11 with no issue.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
As long as you got a copy of it, of the software already saved somewhere, you need to reinstall it because it's no longer available on their website.
There's a place where you can download old versions. Somebody's provided that link in the past, and I have it stored somewhere. So you can still get it. You can download it. Let me get back and stay on track with this subject, and then we can come back to that link later. Now, so here's Reflect, and I'll go into logs and see that here. Let's no, these are from old dates. So yeah, when I came into logs here, these were 2 days ago, so it wasn't that. And then when I went to look at my scheduled backups, that's where I noticed. Yeah, down here. This last run time was 10:05 a.m. this morning. It started, unexpected error occurred. So that was 10:05, and we found, what was it, 10:07, something like that the crash occurred. So that was shortly after it started. So it makes me suspicious there may have been a connection there somehow. I'll point out that the drive where those backups are being stored is low on free space, but that is intentional and that is perpetual. It's always going to stay up that way because I have lots of backup history that I can go back and restore to, so I intentionally allow that to be close to full. Now we will get to look for crash logs after I check in with chat. Is there something highlighted here where I was at? It's 12:19 now. You have Hyper-V enabled in addition to VirtualBox, a question mark. Are you implying with that question mark that I don't need Hyper-V enabled? I'm not very knowledgeable in that area. Oh, George Johnson has an issue with Excel documents. Some will not open because they are locked for editing by another user. I'm the only user on the local machine, no network, no files open. Can you send me some screenshots of that, George? Are those stored on your local drive, or are they on a network storage device? I'm the only on a local, no network, no files open. So it's not a network device, it's your local computer. Locked for editing by, so that is true even after you restart the computer? Okay, I'll circle back around to that later. Yeah, it'd be useful if you could send me some pictures of the lock message and perhaps show the properties of the file from File Explorer. But be happy to connect remotely to it. Love to do that if you're willing. There's a link in the description of this video for that. Oh, that was Jeff's retracted message. Oh, here's got me in orange. Some will not open because they are locked for editing by another user. I've tried a couple days to resolve with no success. Can only open in read-only view. See if there's any more from George. The files that will not open are XLSM. What's XLSM? XLSX is the current version. What is XLSM? Macros? It's a macro-enabled workbook, and that's what Greg M. said. In addition to tables and worksheets, okay, so XLSM worksheet cannot edit in use by another user. Sometimes a file is locked by another user. Other times the another user is actually you if you have locked the file yourself. Excel worksheets can be locked, but it shouldn't be the message you get in that scenario does not say other user. Sometimes the file is locked. If you have locked the file yourself, it might be because the file is open on a different device or the previous instance of the file didn't close properly. And he's saying this is happening on multiple files. Oh, here's the link for the free versions. Well, the older versions, they're not all free. But I think somewhere, it seems like September 2022, somewhere around there, is where it will install free. You have to choose the personal version, not the business use, and you have to not register it. Don't remove the check mark for registering it, because that'll want your email address. Now, in saying that, I own 5 licenses myself that I pay for Macrium Reflect. Yeah, I'd be in File Explorer. Are there any other files with a different extension that has the same name, if that's how Excel manages locks? None of my files are protected or locked. As far as you know. Let me go bring up Excel. Let's see, and they're macro enabled. So here's Excel. if we go to more and options, trust center settings, and here's macro settings. So I'd be wondering if you could make some changes there. Now this is for Excel. That wasn't for a specific spreadsheet. I don't think that's for a specific spreadsheet. As far as the specific sheet, info, to make it a, well, how about just saving it as? Can you save as, go to File, Save As, and change to Excel Workbook rather than XLSM. There's macro enabled workbook. Yeah, rather than those menu options I just looked at, when you open it, can you just save it as a XLSX? You can use macros in an XLSX file. You don't have to have XLSM in order to use macros. I'm not quite sure when you need that.
Reflect 8.0.
Thank you, Zvi.
7,279.
So let's go see what was the date for that one. 7279. Did I not leave that open? Oh. 7279. Is it even in this list? 807279. Oh, right there. September 4th, 2023. All right. So that would be it. Did you capture that, Alex?
Yeah. What exactly? I mean, you was talking about XLS.
No. We jumped back to your Macrium topic. The link that Wintermute put into chat for the Macrium Reflect download, the most recent one that is free is the September 4th, 2023 version 8.0.7279.
Oh yes, and I keep it downloaded on my computer, and I've got the bootable version on flash drive.
Yeah, so you can reinstall from that over and over. Grey Wolf says check Major Geeks for the free version. Was this a Major Geeks? No, this is straight from Macrium Reflect. I'd rather download it directly from Macrium Reflect rather than from a third-party site. George says yes to something. Oh, is this related to the Hyper-V with Oracle? Oracle VirtualBox can be used on Windows host computer where Hyper-V is running. This is an experimental feature, not required, apparently. I may have Hyper-V enabled. I don't have knowledge of why I did that. If I did that, I've done more things on my computer than I can hope to ever remember.
Doug?
Yeah?
When you really get a minute, I would like to ask your opinion. I had something else interesting happen yesterday that I would like to ask your opinion on. If I handled it properly or not.
Okay, go ahead. Well, actually, let me just first respond to that comment. Oh, yeah, I see that. Okay, I just Wintermute. I acknowledge. Yeah, you're right about that. That is a third-party site. It's not Macrium's site. And I I guess I did. I looked at macriumreflectfree.en and stopped there, but the site was actually uptodown.com, third-party site. Okay, go ahead, Alex.
One of my friends on Facebook is looking for a computer. Is looking for a computer for his for his wife's son, so he can play Fortnite and Call of Duty 3 or whatever. Those are the only two games he told me about. And so he found this computer on Facebook Marketplace. He found this computer on Facebook Marketplace for sale for like 400 bucks. He got in contact with the guy, and the guy said that he said what the CPU was, and I told him not to go for it because the CPU is not on Microsoft compatible with for Windows 11, and that was the end of that. Well, I thought I'd be a nice guy and try to find other gaming computers for sale on Facebook Marketplace, and I ran across this one. I ran across this one guy, and I messaged him, and I basically asked him, you know, what the specs are, what it be upgradable to Windows 11, is it on Microsoft supported list? And he said he didn't know. And I essentially, at that point, because I knew he did, I knew he didn't know, and of course I wanted to be able to verify it, so I'd be able to tell the other guy all about everything before he would make a decision to buy. I asked him, the guy that's selling it, if it would be all right if I maybe remoted into it just to look at the specs and everything, and then the guy went all off on me about it.
I'm not surprised.
Yelling at me in capital letters and all that, and I wasn't trying to get anything started. The guy doesn't know, so if from my point of view, if you're selling something, you should know all the details, or you should be prepared for people to ask you, things like that,
I think that's a little harsh to say anybody selling something should be a technical expert in the something that they're dealing with. It's nice when they are, but I don't think that's a requirement to be able to sell something. I think he was totally correct in refusing to let you connect to his computer because you're just some Joe contacting him through that site. That I would tell anybody, do not let somebody connect to your computer that you don't know. So you should be telling him to not let you do that.
I understand that, but he didn't just say no. He said no, and this, that, and the other thing. He went on and on and on for paragraphs. And
all right, well, he did that because he's had some bad experiences in the past. It wasn't personally directed at you. Well, it's directed at you, but he's got some emotional baggage on that subject. I think you would have done better to ask him for some specific information, such as ask him to go into MS Info 32 and give you a screenshot of that, a picture of that. That would have been a reasonable request. The request asking to connect remotely, no.
After he yelled at me and complained and all that, for 2 or 3, 4 paragraphs of messages, he finally did send me pictures. Probably just the and it looked like to me just like the generic pictures. So for all I know, it could have been a scammer. Because after we had the conversation, after I finished messaging him, it popped up in the messenger that this listing is no longer available.
Yeah, I don't think he's a scammer because he didn't take an approach with you to try to get something to scam you. I would read that as he was legitimately has emotional baggage over that subject. He could have handled it better. You could have handled it better. You're a person that's in the industry. And I think it's more incumbent on you to have handled that better than him. if you're asking for feedback on it. Now, he did eventually give you information, so he kind of calmed down. I would be reluctant to continue any kind of negotiations with the person that flies off the handle like that.
No, I'm not. The post is not even there anymore. The listing has been
Yeah.
taken down. It appeared to be taken down as soon as I finished the conversation with him. So I guess either it was a scammer or he just took the posting down and decided not to sell it, or something else happening.
Well, if his comments were going to stay up there live, that would be sufficient reason for him to take it down after he realized, oh boy, I shouldn't have been behaving that way. Nobody else is going to want to talk to me. So if he wasn't able to individually delete his comments after he calmed down, that would be a reason to take the posting down.
And he made it seem like I was saying horrible, bad things to him. I wasn't. I was just trying to be nice and get information.
Yeah.
That anybody would have asked for.
Yeah. His reaction was not, in my opinion, not because of you, but and therefore you shouldn't, be upset over it. Although you're human. I would have been upset if somebody went off on me like that on something I didn't think that I did anything wrong. But he's got some baggage over it. So let's move. Did we sufficiently handle that, Alex? Can we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Let's say hello to Gary Weisenberger. Hello, Gary.
Hello, what's going on?
Yeah, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to precisely answer your question.
There you go.
Did you have anything to bring to the table?
Actually, I got a couple of things that I was going to bring up. We talked last week. My granddaughter and I stayed up until about 4 a.m. abusing computers about things Ziv Menor posted in last Saturday about getting rid of Defender.
About what? Defender?
Getting rid of Windows Defender.
Getting rid of it. Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 people I found that said on YouTube they got rid of it. They keep thinking that that Microsoft is running Defender out of either program files or program files 86. They're running Defender out of program data. You cannot get rid of Defender completely. It is hooked into the operating system completely. It will not boot if you get rid of it completely. Number one. And we went farther than that. We looked at the Commando. We actually downloaded it with both Home and Pro. I mean, we went crazy. Granddaughter, so it's kind of a grandfather, granddaughter thing. And she's 19, so it's like, whatever. What happens is it's not shutting Defender off. Defender keeps trying to run in the background. It's blocking it from running.
Okay, so when you said you can't remove Defender completely, there was some step you got to that you couldn't do that particular piece.
Right.
What is that piece?
Yes, it is an actual DLL in Defender called MP letter OAV.DLL. It comes in the platform every upgrade, or every, each time they send a new one out.
Okay, so when you tried to delete that, then the computer just wouldn't boot? Is that what you said?
No, it'll crash when you try to delete it. Yep. If you go into another operating system such as Linux to get rid of it, it will not. It'll crash.
You can use Linux to get rid of that file, but then when you start the computer, it will crash. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, well, then you're not on Windows and Linux. I mean, a separate computer.
Yeah. Now, Frosty Winnipeg asking, does an alternative AV not disable Windows security? There is some reduction of Windows Defender when you install a third party, but it doesn't completely remove it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes and no. Yes, that is correct. It reduces it.
Reduces its functioning. All right.
But it is still active. There's still files being held, or DLLs being held open by the operating system, and you cannot get rid of it. Commando and Norton 360. We downloaded both. 360, we had a block. And what happened, or we had to pay for it, Defender keeps trying to rerun in the background. You never see it. It never hits Enterprise, but with a debugger, you can see it try to continuously restart. And it does get upgrades forever.
All right.
And when I deleted most of it, like I said, we got most of it deleted. Next upgrade cycle, we put it through an upgrade cycle, and it re-upgraded. It downloaded it again. And then we looked in Europe with trying to get rid of Edge.
Yeah.
Defender is not part of the European thing getting rid of Edge. They do not have to get rid of Defender.
All right. All right.
So, and actually, when we looked at OneDrive, you can uninstall OneDrive, but if you go into Office 365, there's still a link to OneDrive, so you cannot get rid of all vestiges of OneDrive on your system either, or it'll crash. And last one, but I will not go into how you can do it, but we found a way to, on an encrypted local account or Microsoft account, to get into Windows within 2 minutes without a password. You gotta be sitting in front of the machine and get to your data under Documents.
Yeah, I'm not sure I quite understood your point there. Get into Windows without a password on a computer that is password protected for the Windows user account?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So user has a password and you're getting into that computer booted on that hard drive without the password.
Correct.
Without any third-party utility.
Correct.
And
10 and 11, we tried on both.
Say again?
1123H2, and of course Windows 10 also. Still works.
Okay. So, and you said you're not going to give us details about that, but you found a way to do it. Or,
I'll send it to you if you want, but I'm not going to post it.
Yeah, I would like for you to send that to me. And
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I am not going to, put out something that gives
But it does go
amateurs
into
a way to get
recovery
in, but I
mode.
would like to know. Goes into recovery
You
mode.
do have to have recovery mode.
Oh, well, and did you say anything about
It could be your machine. I know nothing about you. As long as the recovery partition is still active.
Okay. Well, that was what that recent update that was so problematic was, to plug a hole related to using the recovery partition.
I have the update.
You have that update in place and can still get in?
Yep, 100%.
Okay.
I have update, Defender up to date. I have both Pro. The only way we could not do it with a domain account or with the recovery partition gone.
Okay. All right. So they the KB 5034441, or you said Windows 11. Windows
11.
11. So that's
23.
4440.
Right.
You have that patch installed.
Yes.
Yeah, please send that to me. Now,
and actually, you do that error that that people get. If you have no recovery partition, you will not get the error. The problem is it tries to put too much data into a small partition.
Yeah, and it's the amount of free space available on that partition that is when they run into the problem.
So if you have no partition, it says, well, forget it. Let's go past it, because we've went down that at work. So if you have no partition, you have no problem.
Okay.
But I thought that was interesting, but it was fun. It was like, we're crazy people.
A bonding experience. I like that. All right.
Yeah, we don't play Fortnite.
Okay.
Okay, I got one other later, but if you want, for about 5 minutes, because we updated over 500 computers at that company we took over, and we had one person do it in less than a week. So that'd be interesting to tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay, that triggers a bunch of questions, but let's hold off on that. Let me catch up on a couple things. All right, very good. Let's see. I've got George Johnson, Geo Johnson. I'm after the experience with Bett, I should be careful about using somebody's full name. Maybe he doesn't like the name George. Geo Johnson sent a screenshot. Here's the screenshot that he sent of the issue that he was having with the XLSM locked for editing by another user, showing that's a well, I think that 2024-02-23 is part of the name of the worksheet. Open read only or click notify, receive notification when the document is no longer in use. So if it's perhaps that XLSM has the capability of locking the file so that people can't edit it, that they can only read it. Now there's other comments that he has made in chat before that one. He said, yes, I can save it as XLS and they will open so I can edit them. My template has an extension of XLSM. That doesn't sound like a good template to be using in Excel. So are you saying every time you start a new Excel worksheet, it's starting as an XLSM? That doesn't sound like a good idea. Change that. Skipping over some here. Excel is not, yeah, it wouldn't be running in task view if it's actually the file that is locked. And Geo found the solution for doing a screenshot. Skipping through a little bit. Danielle Emberley. If you're looking for low-cost computers, it may make sense to check local computer fairs. Fairs in my area are frequently selling off lease Dell towers, less than 300. Danielle, I'd be interested if you're able to compare, if you can get the specs of those computers at the fair, and then compare them with what's available on Amazon for refurbished computers. I've seen a lot of people very abusive in selling computers that they are presenting as refurbished. Like they might be buying them off of Amazon and then marking them up and selling them at the fairs.
I haven't been to a computer fair probably in 2 decades.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think they just stopped at some point, and I've not been to one forever.
I don't know
haven't
why
ever been to
anybody
one.
I don't know why anybody would organize that these days.
The closest thing to a computer fair that I've ever been to is I've been to the Micro Center.
You know what?
But
There are some in some of our downtown buildings. The old like J.C. Penney's downtown, that type of thing was turned into a flea market, permanent full-time flea market type operation decades ago. They might still be doing that kind of thing, but that also is, I'd be really leery of buying from vendors there. Okay, coming back, looking for more stuff here. No prompt for update. This looks like it's Macrim Reflect. Is it another? Oh, this was just a screenshot that he's using 8.07279 free. Is that your point? Yeah, he's using that. No prompt for update. Well, you can turn the prompt for updates off. It's on by default. In Macrim Reflect, other tasks, edit defaults and settings, then go to the update settings.
I think though somebody in chat said they got an update prompt for update in a free version.
Well, yeah, yeah. Oh, yes, yeah. I got the prompt first time I launched after install it. Yeah, every time I've installed Macrim Reflect, it prompts for update,
In the free version, though, I thought they weren't going to do any more updates in the free version.
Well, I've always get the prompts for it, but it's the old free version. So I don't know what'll happen if I actually let it update.
I've never used Mac or what, so I don't know. But I think that's what he was trying to indicate.
Okay, Cordius, OneDrive is awesome. Well, I use it on all my computers, and I know there's people around here that don't like it. But similar to, what was it the other day we were talking, Microsoft accounts, there is a bit of a
Read
learning
chat,
curve to
please.
learn how to use it. The last update was considerably older than the updates for the paid version. The last update for the free version was considerably older than the updates for the paid version. That makes sense. I'm not worried about an older version of Macrium Reflect doing a backup. It'll work. It'll do the backup.
Here's a reason why I just don't use OneDrive at all. But if I had to come up with a reason why I don't use it, here's a reason. Because I remember when it used to be called SkyDrive, and back a decade ago, Microsoft used to give you 25 gigs of space for free. Well, then they decided they turned it down to 15, like Google has, like Google's always had, and then they decided they turned it down to
You can go
5.
ahead and start hollering because I believe to go to the chamber.
So now if you don't want to pay for it and you only got the free version, all you get is 5, unless they've recently changed it.
Okay, so that's what I'm calling emotional baggage, like your Facebook friend. You aren't using it because you remember what they used to give you, not because of anything that you complain about its functionality now. You said they used to give you more, and that's why you don't want to use it. That's emotional baggage.
Read chat, please.
All right, Zavi Manor asking for chat. 503-4440 is for Windows 11. Yes, my PC with Windows 11 is 23H2. Did not get this. Yeah, it was for 21H. Well, 21H2. How about 22? I think it was also for 22H2. But 23H2, that protection is rolled into it. So if you're at 23H2, you don't need that old update. It's not old update. I think it's 22H2. Is it still in support? What's the end of life for 22H2 Windows 11? I got too much open here. Looking for I don't see my Chrome that has all the tabs open. Is it because there's more down there? No. What did I skip over? I skipped over stuff. Screenshot sent. Yeah, you can open a template for editing in Excel and Word, but you have to open it as a template, not start a new worksheet based off of the template.
Win 1022H2 is October 14th, 25.
When 1022H2 is supported through then, and Zavi was talking about Windows 11. So I suspect Windows 11 Windows 10 22H2, they're never going to do a feature upgrade. So that's going to the end of life for Windows 10. So John, that doesn't actually respond to my question about Windows 11 22H2. Because if there's still Windows 11 22H2 computers out there, then they're going to need that update. What am I on for Big Beast? Yeah, 22H2. So yeah, it's still in support.
Win 1122H2 until October 8th, 2024.
Zoom recently got a Windows 11 style update to version 6.0.0, and then today they installed another update.
Was that Zoom you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
What I mean
okay.
by Windows 11 style is they basically just changed all the icons,
All right.
made it look different.
All right. Lawn Dog says this Macrim Reflect was downloaded before they instituted the new policy. Some kind of automatic update that came along 4 months ago. You could turn the automatic updates off if you don't want them. Skimming. Okay, so Greg M is saying Dropbox has also lowered the size of their free version. What's this one from Zvi? If your PC does not have recovery partition, you do not need this update. And you don't need the update unless you... It's protecting against a hacker getting physical access to your computer and you're using drive encryption. There's a way that they can use it to use the vulnerability that patches to access the content on your drive. It's the only reason that update even exists. So ignoring it or blocking it is totally acceptable from my point of view. The one risk that you might have is it possible Microsoft might come up with some other update that is important to you that the recovery partition needs to be larger. So if you do increase the size of it, then you're protected against that. Unless they want even more free space than what this update needs. Still supported, and I'm sure what that is about. Greg M. 5 business clients who still have the 4441 issue. I am in no rush to fix the issues. Clients are not complaining and none of them are using BitLocker. Yeah, if it's trying to do that update after hours, it restarts the computer, the update fails and it reverts back to not have that update. It's taken longer than it needs to do that restart, but if that's happening after hours, your clients aren't going to complain about it. If they're not going into update history and not seeing that failed message, then they're not complaining about it. Major Geek's website for the last free version, I suppose I have 7783. Sorry, it doesn't seem to be posted in chat. 7783, was that, are you saying that's, oh, I know why I wasn't seeing my tab. It's this one. This is my Chrome tab. I can't see it when I do Alt-Tab because it's maximized with the F11 key. That's why I couldn't see it. Here's that older versions. What version was he talking about? 7783, Control F, 7783. It's not on this page. 8.0. 8.0, yeah, 7783 is not on here. I'm suspecting that might not be available for download, but maybe it was like one of these prior ones and then it was updated online. Is that what happened, Lawn Dog? The version you have is 7783 because you have done an update. Here's Major Geeks. So are you saying they have 7783? They do indeed. And it's 12/1/2023. Yeah, so between those two. So up to down doesn't have that version. It is what it is. Frosty Winnipeg, we can fix it, but is Microsoft ever going to fix the recovery partition update problem with the feature update? No, they won't. I'm totally convinced they will never fix the problem that's occurring with that update. I think anyone who is really in a position for needing that update to be applied has got IT support that is sufficient to be able to fix that. I think they can. I don't think they want to spend the money that it would take to fix that, and the risk. There would be some risk involved in them automating, increasing the size of the recovery partition. That sounds to me like something with all the different hardware that's out there, all the different configurations, could easily cause more trouble than having this failed update that to anyone who's experiencing that failure, it's irrelevant. Anyone that is using drive encryption should have IT support that is aware of this issue and dealing with it. Yeah. Jim, were you going to snicker at that?
No.
No, that wasn't you snickering. Or maybe Gary did. That sounded like I was going to get a snicker out of that. What do we got here? I think I already looked at this one, did I? Oh, just the support dates. We're getting close to shutting down here.
Hey, Doug,
Yeah.
2 or 3 quick comments.
Okay.
One, talking about the thing with getting into the system. We also did it with a Microsoft account, because you can still, on a Microsoft account, you can still have a separate local account for somebody else.
Right.
So you create a local account, and I will just go that far, and then you can see the Microsoft account also, or in that directory, or in that folder.
All right. Yeah, I'm very interested in looking at what that is. So do please send that to me.
Yeah, we burned up a Cronus backup back and forth, and we had for what it's worth 365. We had Studio, Visual Studio. We had a couple other soft. So it was a semi, about 80 gig of system. So it wasn't just Anyway, quick comment. I was going back about Alex's thing. I definitely, I'm not going to get too much bring it up, but if he said he wanted to get on somebody's system, I could see somebody getting a little hot under the collar. I would be afraid somebody said that to me.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you want to drive my car? I don't think so.
Right.
Anyway, and yeah, that's my big one I was going to say. And then I had one thing I just kind of wanted to bring up, because you had mentioned something about not going out to get things. You wait till you're kind of forced to update.
Yeah.
Problem is, about 10 years ago, I started updating at work as soon as possible, with testing, of course, because you understand, not you as an insult, but Microsoft updates something, they tell you what they updated and why. And we get script kiddies. I hate using that term, but the minute they see it, we're getting attacks hourly for that. Just like if they think they have the right router, they go, oh, that's a whatever router. We get everything that's ever been printed on that router attacking us.
Yeah.
So if I say 365, let's just say Excel spreadsheet, within a week somebody will be trying to send spreadsheets to somebody in our company with that vulnerability in it. I
would strongly support that that policy strategy of yours, because you guys are an attractive target, and you have a lot of interaction online with other parties.
And part two,
and you can afford to have the staff to do the testing.
Exactly. We have one support per 90 people.
Yeah. And you have the support to be able to look into what does each particular update do. So
correct.
Yeah, I do not feel the need in my environment or even with my clients.
Because we're a C corporation as opposed, I'm not talking home business. We are legally, liable, and with like our customers, right. We shut down plants. We're talking monetary or lose their business and fined contractually. And we're not talking dollars, we're talking hundreds, thousands.
Now, when you mentioned a company that you'd taken over with, I think you said 500 stations.
Right.
Was that you and your wife took over, or is that the
No,
company that you work for took over?
Yeah, we work for it.
The
Yeah, I work
company
for
that
it,
you
yes.
work for. Okay.
We were the backup supplier for a major company. We were major too, but they were the primary. They got behind, and basically it was. Obviously, you can't merge multi-thousand to 500, but they were going to lose the business, and we needed the machines, so we took their people.
Oh, so you took the people, you absorbed the company because you needed that source.
Well, they were not supplying their customer, which we were the backup supplier. We're getting orders. We're supposed to be doing multi-thousand,
All right.
and we're getting orders one day for 40,000 parts for the next month, and it's like, no, we're doing 4,000 this month, just to keep the business. And we find out why, and well, that's too political, but we actually, in doing inventory, we found 100 laptops that were 2 years old in the back of a semi-trailer, unopened.
Oh, oops. Call that a
Seriously.
little oversight.
And when we did all the reclamation, because we had to get all the data off the different computers through the network, what their network people did, this is a quick story. Okay, now this I don't mind if you got like an office and you had 2 people into it. You put a switch in the office and you can, cheat that way. I don't like doing it in our company, but you might do it at a doctor's office. They had across the building with 100 users, one gig wire going, and there's switches in the office. So the 100 users part of the server are sharing a 1 gig line for the network instead of sharing the switch. That's a big problem.
They're sharing one line instead of using a switch? I heard something wrong there.
Okay.
I must have.
Normally you set up a switch and you run each computer has their own networking cable or fiber.
Yeah.
Okay. What this company did was they got an office, well, not in the same building, but they got a suite of offices 300 feet away. They ran one RJ Ethernet 5E cable 300 feet and then put switches, 8-port switches in that office, multiple 8-port switches, and daisy chained them.
I see.
And the server is back 300 feet away instead of having 100 300 feet lines.
Okay, I got you now.
Crazy. So you're hitting the server, I'm hitting the server, we're all going the same pipe. Yeah.
One of my clients, we have 2 buildings, and we potentially had a similar situation that could occur, but what we have is a fiber optic between the buildings, and on each side it's I think it's like 17 computers on each side. So
yeah, this was
we're
100.
okay with that. Yeah, 100.
And one side had CAD also, so they're pulling big files continuously, so they had no performance. Well, they were running a mid-range computer at one point, then they went to server and mid-range computer. They still had what's called an AS400 running. That's how old the company stuff was.
All right, let me hit a couple things here and then shut this down. Rand Israel sent a picture here grabbed from his temp folder during the upgrade. That would have been an upgrade of Macrium Reflect. I don't quite understand what he's showing me here. 7783. That was just a newer version than, well, that's 8.0. Yeah, so I don't know really what you're showing me there. Pretty much Google, Geo, Kerry Holzman has
the version number.
The version number. So you're just trying to show me the version number? I'm not sure why. And that's okay. You don't need to clarify that. Yeah, Geo, I saw it. Kerry did a really good job on that video. I don't care for using that solution. I prefer to just use the block. I just prefer to block the update. But yeah, that if you want to, protect against the possibility that Microsoft might issue another update that requires a larger recover volume, then certainly do that. But yeah, he did a really good job with that. I didn't see any reason to reproduce something like that. Okay. I think I'm all caught up. I'm sure there's some things that I missed in there, but it's time to shut down. Alex?
Can I talk to you just for a second, just for a minute after you end it?
Yeah, okay, I'll leave Zoom open. But I'll ask you all in Zoom to say goodbye to the audience, please.
Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Gracie.
All right.
Bye.
And then there's the email address if you want to send an email, maybe asking for the Zoom credentials, or ask a question that I can respond to during a Windows Daily show. Or you can leave a comment on the video or in the chat room. All right, that's it. Have a great weekend, everybody. Catch you next time. Goodbye. Let's see. Stop streaming there.